Welcome to the Tailored Life Podcast, the one and only fitness and nutrition podcast that goes way beyond just training and nutrition. I'm your host, Cody McBroom, and with me is my co-host,
Travis McQueen.
And today we are going to rate a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, we'll probably, we got a ton of them, so we'll see if we can get a couple in here.
Is this serving as our Monday podcast, Wednesday podcast? Wednesday?
No, Monday.
Monday. Or we're going to shoot a Monday. No, we'll shoot a Monday tomorrow. So this is Wednesday, which means that I'm trying to, what do we shout out at the beginning of this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll just do this off the dome. Let's do the Tailored Trainer game because we've been sharing content with you guys all the time, and obviously we always recommend going and checking out the content. And if you're on the edge, if you're on the fence about the Tailored Trainer, the app, the training programs, go get the physique manual or the performance bodybuilding manual. They're both at tailoredcoachingmethod.com/guides, completely free. They're going to give you sample programs and break down a lot of scientific principles and methods and strategies for program design for the everyday person who wants a little bit more of a scientific method. But the reason I say that is because if you've done that, you've read that, you've listened to the podcast, you're ready to train better, smarter, more intelligently to get better results and less injuries, it's time to just jump in the Tailored Trainer. We're giving you a free trial, 7 days. You can sign up at tailoredtrainer.net. All of those links give you the 7-day free trial automatically, and there's a link in the description. But I can't recommend it enough, guys. There's literally no risk here. You can check out the software, check out the programming, completely free. And if it's not a good fit, you can bounce. There's no commitment. But I can almost guarantee if you like this podcast, if you're a regular listener, you're going to enjoy the app. It's an extremely easy app to use, and the programs are extremely well thought out and methodical and backed by science. So go check that out one more time, tailoredtrainer.net. Now, we got a whole bunch of underrated, overrated topics. I put it out on Instagram. So we had a few people suggest this to do these again after the last one, and then recently somebody just asked me a question, when are you going to do it again? So we decided to do it because they're fun, and we haven't done it for a while. I feel like it was a trend that went on pretty heavily across social media, and then it just fell off. I don't see anybody doing it anymore. So
we're starting it again. Yeah,
we're going to bring it back. So let's just jump right into it. We got a whole bunch, so we're not going to do names. We're just going to run through them. I'm going to try to do rapid-fire style on these, but we'll see how it goes.
Let's do it. All right, we got the first one is incline walks.
Incline walks.
Incline walks, is that on a machine, or is that just walking uphill only?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
You ever? Your dad ever said that you walk to school uphill both ways? No? All right, stupid.
Yeah, I don't get that.
My dad used to be like, Travis, I walk to school in the snow uphill both ways.
Oh, just to prove a point to you.
It's a joke.
Stop complaining.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the classic. I walked miles in the snow to get to school.
Yeah.
This classic dad thing. Now, what am I going to tell my daughter? I rode the bus.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, that's probably actually exactly what I'm going to say. All right.
Skateboarding.
I actually did skateboard to school when I lived in Milton.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I don't know I guess if you walk incline outdoors, you're going to eventually have to walk decline, which I think is easier. Therefore, that's overrated because you're just making it hard one way, easy another way. Incline treadmill walks are pretty common, and honestly, I'm going to say overrated. I mean, realistically, the incline makes it a little bit more difficult, I guess, but I think incline sprints, like hill sprints, are underrated. Those are great.
Why do you say I guess? It definitely is more difficult. Isn't walking uphill?
Yeah, but here's the thing: is okay, if we're talking about doing cardio on a treadmill to burn calories, okay, you do incline of 5 degrees, so you have to go down to level 2 speed, or you just do flat level speed 3. Does it really make a difference? You know what I mean? You get more steps with one, higher incline with another.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now with all the research saying that NEAT and steps are so important, how many steps you actually take, probably less important to be on an incline. And I don't know why it's so damn popular. I mean, that was the thing. In bodybuilding days and everything, when I did, I was I'm going on an incline treadmill. That's what you do. Unless I'm just missing something. I mean, I guess you could, value the extra calf work if you're really interested in building your calves, but I'm not. So I guess I just don't value that as much. But, I'd say overrated. Yeah. I think steps are underrated and incline treadmills are overrated.
That wasn't the question.
I know. But
all right. Next one is massages.
Overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, no, underrated. Sorry. I love massages. Huge massage guy. I think they're underrated.
Underutilized.
Yeah, because they're fucking expensive most of the time. Yeah, because my insurance doesn't cover it. I know that.
Yeah.
Or at least not all of it. I have to pay for that. But I would say they're overrated for the purpose of ART, active release therapy, and they're underrated for the purpose of stress relief. I think a lot of people go get deep tissue massages because they think like it's this magical recovery process of digging into a muscle, kind of like a foam roller. There's a lot of research on the foam roller being more of a neurological thing. Like you actually can like lower your sympathetic nervous system, which is why I think they're underrated. But I also think that a lot of the ART, again, active release therapy, a lot of it is temporary. You can relieve tension in a muscle by digging into the tissue. However, a lot of it has been shown to be beneficial from a range of motion perspective, which is why foam rolling pre-workout is kind of beneficial. If you break down the tissue, it has more elasticity and flexibility to it. You can get through a greater range of motion in your squat. But guess what? 3 hours later, you're tight again.
Yeah.
So you need to work on flexibility and mobility to improve that, not just foam rolling. I think a lot of people use massage as like a Band-Aid. They think that they're like unraveling knots in their tissue, which, I mean, you're digging into knots and it feels good, but the benefit of this, and I learned this a lot in the recovery manual from Dr. James Hoffman, RP, really good book. And I had him on the podcast. So if you guys search our podcast and just search James Hoffman, you'll see it. But he broke into some of the science stuff, and the main benefits of a massage are not what you're doing to the muscle tissue. It's actually from you calming the fuck down. So when you're in a quiet room and the waterfall or whatever music's in the background, you know, it's good temperature, you're comfortable, and there's physical touch, because there's science that shows 7 seconds or more, which I hope your massage is longer than 7 seconds, of physical touch is actually going to promote better well-being, more of a calm state, a reduced nervous system state. All you're doing is you're dropping cortisol, you're taking yourself out of that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system mode, and you're going into parasympathetic. It's like a long-ass meditation session. That's the benefit. When you go into parasympathetic, you calm down, you recover better.
Yeah.
So I think it's underrated for that reason, and it's overrated for the reason most people think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
It's just people are confused.
Damn.
Yeah.
Want to know a side story real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast.
Yeah.
But so how much is a podcast? How much is a massage usually here? Between $80 and $90.
Yeah.
So 80 plus tip or whatever. So Jolie and I got a couples massage in Jamaica. And I made the very big mistake of not asking. I was like, oh, yeah, because we had somebody set it up for us and stuff. And they're like, all right, be there at 3 o'clock, you know. And I was thinking maybe it's like $100, right? Mm-hmm. Well, long story short, I came out of this massage, and to go pay, it was $380.
Whoa. Damn.
$380 for a couple massage.
I believe that. I thought you were going to say it was like $20 because you're in Jamaica.
Oh, no, that's like Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
But
was Jamaica cheaper than here, though?
Not really, no.
That's about the same.
Yeah.
Because I've looked at couples massages at resorts and retreats that me and Shannon have been to, and I've always been like, no shit.
Yeah.
Like, no way.
Yeah.
Because they're just absurd.
But that's like almost triple a massage here.
For 2 people, though.
Yeah, I get it. But $80, $160. 160, 370.
I think they just bump it up for the sake of it being at a resort.
God. And then they have the audacity.
And realistically, at the Sport Cairo, it's better anyway. They're better at what they do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Then they have the audacity to try and sell me products afterwards. After they had paid, I was like,
what kind of products are they going to sell you? Lotion?
Like scrubs and, lotion scrubs and stuff. Anyway, I was so mind-boggled.
What? I mean, okay, so like, I've never done a couples massage. Do you guys you lay in a bed next to each other?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep. Oh. And they turn the lights off and they give it a massage, and then like you hold hands for 5 seconds, and then you go pay the bill. Literally.
I feel like I wouldn't even want that. I'm like, yo, leave me alone. I just want to be by myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Nobody talked the whole time.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to even. I don't know. It's weird.
Anyway, all right. Next,
I just picture. Have you seen Couples Retreat?
We watched that
they don't,
Jamaica.
They don't do the couples, but you know how like the girl gets that like hot guy that walks in. I'm like imagining laying in bed next to her and she has some hot guy walking. I'm like, fuck. No shot. This isn't happening.
No. Oh man,
that's hilarious.
All right. Next is HIIT cardio.
Whoa. HIIT cardio. Overrated. Yeah, I think LISS cardio is completely underrated. It's gonna burn just as many calories. It takes a lot longer. So that's the downside, right? You do 10 minutes of high intensity cardio. You're probably gonna have to do 20 to 30 minutes of low intensity to burn the same amount of calories. The EPOC effect. I know they didn't ask about this. That's overrated too. The exercise post oxygen consumption. And basically this is just after you work out, your body is continuing to pull in oxygen. Your blood cells are continuing to do so. You continue to have a metabolic effect from that and burn more calories after the session. You're going to get that from strength training too, though. And in my opinion, HIIT is great short term, but after a quick bout, you realize that the recovery demands are just really high, and it's kind of pointless. You know, like I would much rather do a lower intensity or aerobic work because it might take a little bit longer, but it's better for recovery. It's better for health and immune system. And at the end of the day, you're going to be able to sustain it for longer weeks and months on end, and you burn the same amount of calories. So overrated.
Damn. All right. Next one is working from home.
That's tough, man. I think at first underrated, and then after a while it was overrated for me. I mean,
what?
I don't even think it's overrated. It's just difficult as fuck, depending on who you are. I guess.
It depends on if you have a 3-year-old daughter or not.
Yeah, 100%. And also when I was in a gym 6 days a week, all hours of the day, like, and then I finally got to work from home, I was like, this is dope, you know? But then I found myself in a Starbucks all the time. And it was like, okay, why do I have this nice ass home office if I'm just going to Starbucks all the time? And it's part of it is, I think, accountability. When you go somewhere else, you're like, okay, I'm going to work and I got to get shit done, you know? And I read something from, who was it? I want to say it was James Clear, the guy that wrote Atomic Habits, but I might be wrong. Maybe it was Deep Work by Cal Newport. Both great books. I think Cal Newport wrote that book, but they talk about like not having workstations in your home station. So it was like one of those things where like I would work on the couch, but then now the couch becomes a workplace, and then that like fucks with where you're doing it. So like that's why, and this sounds weird, but like even when I work at home, I work in the office, and in the morning when I'm like reading, doing that stuff, and this sounds so weird now when I say it out loud, I purposely sit in a chair that I don't ever sit in elsewhere. Like, you know, you were at our house last night, so that right next to where you are, that the corner chair. So facing the glass, the sliding glass door on that end, I never sit there. We always sit on the other side for dinner and everything. So I sit there when I do my work, and that's like my workplace. And I only sit there if I'm working. Yeah. And I don't know why, but like mentally there's like this distinguished zone of like, I don't work on the couch. I don't work at the counter. I don't work at the dinner table seats that we eat at. Yeah. It's like office. I don't work in the bedroom. It's like office, or it's the that single chair. Yeah. And I don't know, like that helps me, but I think going to an office is so much easier. Yeah. I don't know.
You guys have like friends over. You're like, I'm not fucking sitting in that seat.
No way.
That's for the morning. All right, cool.
It sounds weird, but it's. I mean, he had a lot. He had like some studies or something to talk about it, and it was good.
I get it.
It makes sense. You know,
it's a mental thing.
Yeah, especially when you have a family and stuff. You're like, okay, like I want to be. Home is not work. Yeah. Like, you know, but at the same time, it's like it's one of those things where I couldn't afford to have this place. You know, so back then I couldn't say that like, oh, I'd much rather go to my office and work. I couldn't afford a fucking office and a gym. Yeah. So I went to Starbucks, but I actually like that too. Like I don't mind going to Starbucks. Totally. To me, getting out of the house is actually super helpful. I'm sure there's a lot of people when COVID hit, they were like, this is amazing. I can work from home. And now they're like, dude, get me out of this house.
Totally.
You know,
after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. You're like, I want to go back to work. So I think there's value in going and being around people and stuff like that when you can do it safely, obviously. But, yeah, that's hard. I don't think there's an overrated or underrated answer. Yeah. It's just hard.
It depends. Imagine that. All right, we got next one is artificial sweeteners.
Fuck. That's what I mean.
You just did this.
Yeah, I just did this podcast, so check that out. But I'm thinking like overrated, underrated. I think it depends who you're talking to. I think they're overrated to some of the people that abuse them. Some people are like, they just have too many of them, and it's just getting insane how much like fake food and like, you know, there's like some things that have 0 calories that I look at, I'm like, how does it have 0 calories if it's an object I can like hold in my hand? You know what I mean? That's weird. Like it's solid. A drink I can kind of get it because it's probably just water with a little bit of flavoring, but like those like Jellos or syrups that are thick or like 0 calorie candy, I'm like, it's an object in my hand. How is that 0 calories? That's weird. So, but I also think it's underrated for people dieting that like, you know, try to stay so clean and paleo and whole foods. It's like, dude, have a fucking diet pop. It's going to help you adhere to the diet because it's curing that sweet tooth. And there's research studies that show, 1, it's not unhealthy for you, and 2, it actually helps you with dieting. So it's promoting weight loss because you're able to have that sweet tooth and that treat without adding calories to your diet. Yeah. So I would, if I had to choose one, I'd say underrated.
Got it. All right. So next one is glutamine.
If you asked me this a few years ago, I'd say overrated. If you asked me today, I'd probably say underrated. And I think because glutamine is an amino acid. There's a lot of amino acids, and once upon a time, it was almost like all amino acids were. I mean, it's the building blocks of protein. And if it's protein, it means it builds muscle, which means that we have to have all these different. So people were taking leucine with meals, they were taking amino acids with their workout, protein in every meal, and they were taking glutamine as a recovery agent for more muscle growth. The more research they did, the more they realized it's just not really going to contribute to muscle growth whatsoever. So now it's kind of like, at that point, we realized like, okay, glutamine is a waste of money and it's completely overrated. You're not going to build muscle. But then they kept furthering research studies not focused on muscle growth, and they found out that it was extremely helpful for gut health. So there's actually digestive components that are beneficial of it. There's also some research with burn victims and traumatic injuries that was pretty, especially burn victims, where they do high doses of aminos and glutamine and stuff, and it actually helps heal from the burns. But what that means too is like if we're looking at skin and we're looking at some injuries that have like ligaments and tendons issues and stuff like that, glutamine might play a role in helping with bone, tendon, ligament, skin injuries. So I say that because, well, number one, if you have old injuries from sport or weightlifting, or you're trying to prevent more injuries, or you have nagging pains and issues, maybe it might be beneficial to have a little bit of glutamine in your diet to avoid furthering those or just strengthen the things that could potentially get injured. I don't think everybody needs it, but if you have gut health issues, I would say it's a good one to go with. If you have an injury, it's a good one to go with, especially a serious injury. And then last but not least, there is some research that shows it triggers a specific hormone. I'm gonna have to pull this up to make sure I pronounce this right, but there's a specific hormone that helps regulate our hunger levels, and with that, here it is. That hormone is called. I'm gonna butcher the shit out of this. Okay. Cholecytokinin, CKK, is like basically the hormone.
Okay.
So stimulating it. So CKK is a hormone that's secreted in the gut, and I'm reading off a post I did. That's secreted in the gut, in which tells your body to not eat. It's almost the opposite of the ghrelin and leptin signals that actually kind of tell you to eat more. The way to stimulate this hormone, CKK, cholecytokinin, it's Kinin or Kinin, that kinin.
Kinin.
Fucks with my
ends.
Yeah, it's very hard. But the way it stimulates in your body is omega-3 fatty acids help, and then glutamine can trigger it. So this basically means like obviously getting omega-3s in your diet and stuff like that can help, but potentially having glutamine can trigger this hormone to get increased, and when it is increased, it kills cravings and hunger because it basically is a signal to your brain to say, I'm not that hungry, like don't eat. So, and I've tested this with 3 or 4 clients recently. This is something I just recently was digging into and discovering. And I have 3 or 4 clients right now that I've done this with that are in a deficit, and they were having hunger cravings. So what I said was like, pick out the time that you're having these cravings. For example, 11 a.m. Like I have my meal, and then I usually have my next meal at like 1, and like at 11, my hunger starts to kick up, and I'm starting to crave things. And that's typically when I like splurge on a snack at the office or candy on the desk or whatever. And I'm like, hey, at 10:30, drink some glutamine. 1 teaspoon is 1 serving of glutamine typically. So just glutamine powder, throw some Crystal Light in there, something that tastes good, or just throw it back. Glutamine about 30 minutes before those cravings kick in, 15 to 30 minutes prior, and we'll see how it works. And everybody I've done it with has said they've noticed their cravings go away. And we're just trying to spike that hormone around that time.
Yeah.
You know, they might be getting some gut health benefits from it as well. Probably no muscle growth perspective, but if we can take a little bit of glutamine that has 0 calories, just something that you throw back and it kills cravings, I think it's worth it. Not that many people know that or do that. So I would say underrated at this point.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So next one's going to be protein bars.
Overrated. I love protein bars. I mean, they taste good, but it's a glorified granola bar. I mean, it's just like usually, and this is where the artificial sweeteners thing, like, you know, you have a little artificial sweetener, that's great. When you read the back of a protein bar, there's a paragraph of ingredients, more than half of which you cannot pronounce. You know what I mean? And then the rest is like corn husk fiber, whey protein isolate, nut butter, and then just a whole bunch of sweeteners that you have no idea what they are, right? And so I'm not a huge fan. If I'm on the go, or if I have like a really big sweet tooth and I just craving one, like a snack or a chocolate bar or something, I'll go have a good protein bar. But realistically, it's they're usually 200 to 300 calories, and they have a decent amount of protein, 20 grams of protein, let's say. Good amount of fat, usually good amount of carbs, and there's no like crazy benefit or micronutrient or anything to it. And, you could have 30 to 40 grams of protein from a chicken breast for less calories and be more satiated. Now, I know you're not going to get the same craving fix from a chicken breast.
Totally.
But that means you could have a full plate of meal of whole foods, probably be around the same calories as one, maybe a little bit more than one protein bar, obviously. But I think from a satiety perspective, it just goes further. I eat a protein bar and I'm usually still hungry. I'm just like, okay, it tasted good, but I want more. You know what I mean? There's not much volume there.
Totally.
So overrated.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll go to the next one is using running as your cardio.
Overrated. I think it is overrated because it's just wear and tear on the joints. I think we talked about this one time where a mile is like, we calculate how many steps what a mile was, but it's thousands of steps. So it's like you're hopping on each ankle, hip, socket, and knee joint like 1,000 plus times when you run a mile. And the mile's not that long. You can jog a mile in 10 minutes. Most people can. And that's not a fast jog. That's like a normal jog. That's a lot of fucking pounding on the joints. Whereas you could do assault bike. You could walk, first of all. You could do the assault bike. You could do the sled. You could do the rower. You can do the skier. You can do a lot of these cardio modalities that have no eccentric loading, so you're not going to damage the joints whatsoever. If anything, it's actually beneficial. Kind of like I was talking to you for your knee about the bike. Like, you're making the movement pattern of a squat over and over again, and that's really good for the joint because now I'm going through flexion and extension, getting blood flow in the joint, building the muscle around it, but there's no load on it. It's just movement, right? There's a load on the concentric because the fan of the assault bike. So when I press, there's concentric load, but when I go through the cycle and I'm coming back up, there's no load on the eccentric. So that front half you press and the back half you're just moving. But because there's no load on the eccentric when you're flexing or stretching the muscle and the tendon in the joint, there's no pressure or tension that's going to break down the muscle fiber, break down the joint. It's way safer.
Totally.
So if you can do that, and typically we can control heart rate, intensity, rest periods, RPE, all those kind of things way easier on those modalities I just talked about than you can running. Because running also depends on your foot pattern, your gait, what terrain are you on? Are you on a trail? Are you on a hike? Are you on flat? Are you on incline? Whatever. It's just not nearly as beneficial. So when we want to control metrics and performance and everything for cardio, those machines work better and they're healthier on your joints. And that's always going to be my forefront focus because usually we're doing cardio between training sessions of lifting. So if we're doing it between lifting sessions, it's important to help it promote more recovery versus make it harder to recover in between the most important sessions you're doing.
Totally.
So overrated.
Got it. All right, we're going to the next one. It says most overrated and underrated fruits. Not sure that's an overrated, underrated, but
yeah,
we'll do it.
Yeah, underrated. The most underrated. We'll break this into three categories: taste, nutrients, and practicality. So practicality being like what you should fit into your calories and why. Taste, this is completely opinionated. Strawberries. Strawberries are the best tasting fruit there is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say worst.
Oh, Dad, love strawberries.
Yeah.
Huge strawberry fan. I could eat strawberries. I usually do eat strawberries basically every single day.
Yeah.
I try to mix them with blueberries because blueberries are a little bit better from a nutrient perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. Strawberries are way better.
Yeah.
Most underrated from a nutrient perspective, kiwis.
Ooh.
Kiwis are extremely good for you. Great fiber, great antioxidant. Unbelievable with the types and the amounts of vitamins and minerals that are in them. I've been eating, I forgot mine yesterday, but I've been eating 2 kiwis a day with lunch basically every day. Last couple of weeks, they kind of came back. You got to get them in season because sometimes they're hard and they're disgusting. But and believe it or not, are you a skin eater of a kiwi? It's kind of gross because they're furry.
Yeah.
But it's really good for you.
Why would you ask me that?
Because it's good for you.
No.
It's super good for you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fiber. But you think about it, it makes sense too. It's why on the apple, if you eat the skin, it's a lot more fiber. But think about it. It's solid. It's hard. That's part of that type of fiber is it's not supposed to be broken down. It helps just push things out of your colon.
I think that's the same as eating the skin of salmon.
That is great for you?
Yeah.
It might be.
Oh my God, that's so gross.
I think that there's
Josephine does that.
I think it's a double-edged sword. I want to say, and I could be completely wrong with this, I think that's where a lot of mercury is too. So like in some people you can't have too much mercury, or it depends where you source the fish. So that might not be a good idea. But people listening, fact check that for sure, because I could be completely wrong.
Yep.
But I feel like I've heard that. But I also eat skin on salmon most of the time. I don't like try to pick it off, but if it's there and it's like a pain to try to scrape off, I don't give a shit. I'll eat it. You know,
I'll scrape it off and she'll take it and eat it.
Dude, I'll eat fucking bones, and like I don't mean to, but I'll just start eating salmon, and then Shannon's like, "Are you picking up the bones?" And I'm like, "Oh no, shit." I'm like halfway done. I'm like a garbage disposal. And then for practicality reasons in the diet, I would go blueberries.
Okay.
Blueberries are really any berries in general. Berries with the seeds. All berries are. I would say blueberries are the highest in the nutrients, antioxidants, and vitamins that you want. But in general, berries they have seeds, they have high fiber, they have high antioxidants and vitamins, and they're very low calorie. You can eat a fucking bowl of strawberries and it's like 200 calories, maybe. So that's because I think a cup of strawberries is literally like 50 calories.
Wow.
You can eat a lot of strawberries and you're totally fine. Overrated. I don't know. That's actually hard because I don't know of any fruits that are overrated. I mean, I think grapefruits are overrated because they don't taste good. They're super good for you though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good reasons.
You know what I think is most underrated taste-wise? Is plums.
Ugh.
Dude, what? That's my favorite fruit of all time.
Whoa.
Yep.
I think of plums. I just think of plum juice. Like for old people to
That's disgusting.
Or, I mean, when you have a baby, you give it to them too. When your baby's constipated, you get them to.
Plums are amazing.
Are they?
Yes.
I don't even actually know if I've ate a plum. I think I've just had plum juice. And have you
don't
had plum
talk
juice?
shit.
Have you had plum juice?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, plum juice is gross.
Oh.
So I'm like, how accurate does that taste compared to a plum?
Plums are so good. Like, favorite fruit of all time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would have said kiwis because I used to love
kiwis. Are fucking amazing.
Yeah, plums are my favorite.
Overrated, I would probably say bananas. I mean, bananas are great. I love bananas, but I feel like banana is such a staple. Like in the workout world, it's like banana post workout, banana protein. It's like they're really not that amazing, you know.
Fruits are very good.
They're good. I mean, I don't think I can say any other ones are overrated. Actually, I know what's overrated. Fucking dragon fruit.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a dragon fruit?
I did in Jamaica.
They're not that tight.
Yeah, it was.
I had one in Hawaii.
Yeah.
They're not. I was so excited to have one when I was in Hawaii. I was in Kauai.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It just doesn't have that much flavor.
Yeah.
And they look crazy.
Yeah.
They look nuts.
The purple ones?
I think they're purple and green and pink. They're like different colors.
Yeah.
But they look crazy, dude. They're like, they don't even look like a fruit, but like Vitamin Water had dragon fruit and all these things like came out with all these like dragon fruit flavors.
Yeah.
But I'll show you a picture. They're pretty, they're like purplish.
Yep.
And they got like spikes all over them.
Yep.
Fucking, looks like a fire emoji.
Okay. I'm talking about you don't eat that.
No, you cut it open and eat the inside. There's just not that much flavor inside.
Yeah.
It's not that
The
great.
restaurant we had
there's purple ones too.
Yep. Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's go to the next one. Working out outdoors.
I would say overrated. You know, I think it's hard because like part of me is like getting outside, walking outside, sitting outside, doing anything outside is definitely underrated. But at the same time, it's not. Everybody knows it's super beneficial. I mean, getting that sun exposure, not only for vitamin D purposes, which is hugely helpful for hormone, immune, like so many different things. There's a lot of research that shows sun exposure early in the morning without sunglasses or blockage. So like actually allowing like sun to get in your eyes, basically. You don't have to stare at the sun, but sun exposure directly to your pupil actually has a significant effect on energy levels and productivity and cognition and stuff throughout the day, mood enhancements, things like that. But it literally has to be through your pupils. So you can't go outside with sunglasses on and block the sun and expect to get the same exposure. And even if, you still would get some, but not as much. But even if it's not super sunny, the sun through the clouds, even though it's super bright, is still going to give you that ray and that exposure that you need. That's super underrated. But at the same time, I feel like outdoor workouts are overrated because, yeah, it's cool, but you really can't do much unless you're in that city in Mexico where they have a full gym on the beach.
Yeah.
And it's built out of like logs and shit, which is super cool. I'd love to go there, but it's called like Tango or something like that. Tengaloo or something. But what can you do out there? You can do calisthenics, which I'm personally not a huge fan of, to be honest with you. I think like you're stuck with doing air squats and push-ups and some pull-ups and stuff like that. But it's like inside of a gym, I have so much equipment, and this is like the whole minimalism thing. And even like paleo, it's like we shouldn't eat all these things because, the earth didn't have it once upon a time, or like man had to create it. It's like, well, humans are smart.
Yep.
If they created something, use it. They created a microwave. You're still microwaving your paleo brownie before you eat it. You're using a cell phone to tell me that you're paleo right now. You know what I mean? Like that was man created. Like if you're going to do it, go all out and be straight up like minimalist, living out of the wilderness. If you're going to do it, which is an extreme point of view. But you get the point. Like I just think, we're smart now. We can create tools that allow us to train much harder and better. And the best physiques use a lot of tools. Yeah. So I think it's better. But I think it's overrated. But you should get outside. Go on a hike.
All right. Next one is an Oura Ring.
Underrated.
Yeah. I had a feeling you'd say that.
Yeah. I thought it was overrated until I got one. I'm going to be honest. It's hard because I think it depends on what you want to track, but I think it's underrated simply for the fact that it's very easy to wear. Like I don't like wearing the Whoop because it was like just constrains your wrist. It doesn't look fucking cool at all. At least the Apple Watch looks cool. A Whoop band doesn't look cool, let's be honest. Apple Watch looks cool, but it's not as accurate. And the steps on it are accurate enough, but the Oura Ring has been the most accurate with steps, heart rate for me.
How do you know?
Just research. I did so much research before I bought it, just like what compares the most from both like a product review perspective. Also, there's like some researchers that put a lot of information out and did a lot of studies on trackables. So they actually did research on this trackable versus Apple Watch versus Whoop versus Fitbit for all these things to see what's the best. And then also too, where it's checking, so like the ring is supposed to, the finger is supposed to be a really accurate area for pulse, for step count, for all those things versus the wrist. Especially because the Apple Watch and everything is on the top of the wrist. And realistically, the more accurate part is going to be on the inside of your wrist, obviously. The most accurate for heart rate and those kind of things is chest strap. But you don't want to wear a chest strap all day. I've done that when we were testing out the heart rate Bio HRV way back before they had all these different ones. But it's the most accurate. It picks up the most signals, and it's most accurate for sleep. Yeah. The sleep one for Apple Watch just isn't that great. And you either have to have your phone on your nightstand to track it, which is iffy, or you got to wear a watch to bed, which again I don't want to do. And you got to charge it all the time. Yeah. This thing I charge for 20 minutes and it lasts me 3 to 4 days. Yeah. Which is pretty nuts. There's like a little thing I just put it on, like it's like a circle, and I just put it on top of it and it just charges. Nice. And 3 to 4 days after 20 minutes charging. Totally. But the sleep thing has been a game changer. Seeing how long it takes me to fall asleep, how long I actually lay in bed, how long I'm sleeping for that duration, how long is deep sleep, like how many times I wake up, what times I wake up. It's crazy.
That's dope.
So I think it's underrated.
Gotcha. All right, so we will go to the next one. It says, going from MEV to MRV versus staying consistent with set number over hypertrophy meso.
I don't really feel like that's an overrated or underrated. That's like which one do you think is better? And it depends, Yeah. I don't think either one is overrated. I think both of them are underrated because not enough people track these kind of things. So basically the way we're looking at this is going from, in a cycle, you could go from, did you say MEV?
Yep.
Or
MEV.
MEV. So minimum effective volume all the way up to maximum recoverable volume. It's basically that versus AV, maximum adaptive volume. So the way that I look at this is going from MEV to MRV is basically going from what is the bare minimum that's going to give me some results to the maximum amount I can recover from and cycling it, which takes a little bit longer per mesocycle and a little bit more focus, which means I got to probably spend 6 weeks in a mesocycle going from minimal amount of volume and slowly increasing my volume in a block week by week until I hit a point where I cannot recover from it. And then I got to go back, which also takes a lot of assessments. But the thing is to hit MEV, you're pretty low. You're doing like 2 sets an exercise, which means that your session is quick and you're not doing that much, which isn't that fun to me. Then you take it all the way to MRV, which is you could be doing 6 sets per muscle group. Now you're at the gym for 2 fucking hours you know, and you're smashing yourself until you go, okay, there's no way I can recover from this. Now I'm going to deload back at MEV and repeat cycle. Does it work? 100% it works. I know there's a good amount of people who do this that look phenomenal. It works very well. And it's a good way to understand how much your body can tolerate and how to cycle these things. And it's a good way to create novelty stimulus without just changing exercises, which isn't always the best way to build muscle. Rather, it allows you to assess and progress your stimulus and push that stimulus to the max and then repeat. So I know a lot of people who do this. Mike Israetel and those guys do it. I believe Steve Hall does it. Again, all great physiques, great bodybuilders, super smart. The method works. For the people I work with and the way I live my lifestyle, I just couldn't do it because I'd go in and have a 20 to 30 minute session week 1, and then it would end up turning into a 2-hour session by the end of the cycle. I don't have a schedule that allows me to do that. For me, it's like I have an hour and a half to work out, and it's going to stay that way every single day no matter what. I'm not going to increase it or change it because I can't change my schedule that dynamically, nor do I want to.
Yeah.
The other route is better for people like me because I can say this is how long I'm training and this is just what I'm going to do. The problem with is it takes more patience. That's the hard part for people. So the first way, there's more fluctuations, and that might be exciting to people because there's change. The other way is more like, all right, MAV. Let me find out the sweet spot for volume. Maybe it's 20 sets per muscle group per week for me. I'm just going to stay there, and I'm just going to try to progressively overload over time. I'm just going to work a little bit harder. I'm going to add weights here and there, and every 4, 6, 8 weeks when I need to, I'm going to take a deload week and then go back to it. I personally think that way is better. If we look anecdotally in the industry and the people who have worked with coaches like myself or top coaches in the industry, that's typically the most commonly used. It's the most backed by science over the years. The other route, not saying that it won't catch up, it's just newer. So there's not as much data from a science or anecdotal like experience perspective as this other way compared to like when we look at the whole industry, right? And everybody who uses it. So I would go with the one that's more backed. It's a little bit more simple and takes a little bit more patience, but I think it is more soundproof and it's easier for a lot of people to fit into their schedule and do and actually adhere to compared to one that goes from so little to so much within a time period. And if you overshoot that MRV, you can injure yourself. You know, you got to really know what your maximum recoverable volume is, which is hard to know. I mean, It takes time to learn that shit about your body. I mean, shit, if you asked me what mine is, I could make a good guess, but I'd have to go through a couple blocks just to figure out exactly what my MRV is. So if you're a really, really committed bodybuilder and maybe you compete in the sport and you can dictate everything you do around your training, then it might be a good route. If not, I probably wouldn't do it.
Totally.
But it's not an overrated, underrated. I don't think either one of them is overrated. I think both of them are underrated because they're both methodical approaches to training. I think that's underrated. What do I think is better for most people? The latter.
Totally.
I think that works.
All right, cool. Next one is going to be high protein processed foods. Example, Kodiak cakes, Magic Spoon, or Quest chips.
Overrated. I mean, I think they're great. You know, it's Blakely loves Kodiak pancakes, so we always have a box. I personally don't eat them that often unless I like if I wake up early on a Saturday and go train, I come home and Blakely's ready to eat, then I'll sit down and have them with her just so I can eat breakfast with her. And they're good they're great. They hit your protein. And if you have a pancake sweet tooth or you love pancakes, I think they're awesome. I think they're overrated just because I think some people rely on them and they're eating those things every single day. Protein cookies, protein bars, protein pancakes, you know what I mean? It's like protein Jell-O, protein everything. It's like, how about some like meat or cottage cheese? Like just eat some real food, you know? I think real food's underrated and high protein processed foods are overrated.
Yeah.
They're definitely great additions though. Like I think they could be helpful.
All right. Next one is going to be Vegas.
Man, if you asked me when I was 21, 22, I'd say
underrated.
I mean, I don't know if I would because I think everybody knew Vegas was dope.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm Vegased out.
Yeah.
I think I've been. You've probably been just as many times as me, just because of like your ex used to live out there or something, right? Or family.
Yep.
But I think I've been there probably 15 times.
Yeah.
It's a good amount of times. I mean, it seemed like every fitness event was out there for a while. So I mean, I went there. I've gone there every single year for the last since I was 21. That's for sure. And that's 10 years, so at least 10 times.
Yeah.
But I think I'm good for a bit. Actually, 2020, did I go to Vegas?
Overrated.
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
The last time I went was 2019 for my honeymoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'm done now, at least for a while.
Yeah.
Vegas is just, man, like the first day is always so dope. And then the second day, you're like, dude, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Second day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Last time we went.
3 days is like tops.
Yeah. Was that the last time you went too?
When?
For my bachelor party?
Oh, you said honeymoon.
Oh, I meant bachelor party.
I was like,
definitely.
so
I didn't even feel on
confused.
honeymoon.
Yeah. For bachelor party, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
We were there for 3 days.
Yeah.
I think 3 nights, 3 nights, 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like day 2, we all broke our phones.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Ready to go home.
The whole group. I called from a payphone. Hey, babe. Everybody broke their phones. All 13 guys. Yeah. You're full of shit. I swear to God, we all thought they were waterproof when the pool
all
party.
in the pool, yeah.
Oh, that was good.
We all thought they were. Who told us that?
Benny, my brother.
Oh, that's right.
Look, he's dumping his phone in a glass of water, and we're like, oh shit, they are waterproof. The new iPhones are dope. Let's do it.
Everybody went in the pool party with phones, and everybody came out with not working phones.
None.
All right, cool. Next one is going to be clean eating.
Overrated, man. I think it is.
Whoa.
I think a lot for a while. I might have said a different a long time ago, but I think if it's your macros and flexible dieting, it's gone so far that now people there's like this they demonize clean eating. People hate saying the words clean foods, and I'm like, first of all, why do people take offense to foods? It's a food. You know what I mean? Like the guy was mad at me because I didn't like carnivore. It's like, dude, you eat what you want. I don't care. Like, why does it matter what I want to do?
Yeah.
And I think clean food's the same thing. People get mad when people say clean foods because they're like, you're demonizing bad foods. Like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that, that apple has a lot of good things about it. It's clean. It's clean food. It's healthy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Pop-Tart, you can eat it. It's not bad, but there's nothing healthy about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it's mentally healthy to have junk food every once in a while, and fit it in. That's the point of flexible dieting. But I think people just, if it fits your macros and flexible dieting pendulum just swung way too far, demonizing clean food and not allowing people to understand that if you want to sustainably lose weight, stay lean, be healthy, there's a lot of value in just eating good food, like having a diet full of real food, like having eggs and vegetables and stuff in the morning, having oatmeal on a regular basis, sweet potatoes and chicken. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good for you.
Some people would maybe not some, but people would argue the definition of clean and good
for so long.
Yeah. Like why is a Pop-Tart not clean eating?
Yeah. Again, who cares? First of all, second of all, because there's no good nutrient value about it.
Good nutrient.
Yeah.
It's all relative to people. Like,
yeah. I mean, what could I say about a Pop-Tart? I could say that if somebody is struggling to meet their calories and they're training very hard, eat a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
Because it's a small little tart. I don't know why it's called a tart because it's not. And it's full of a ton of sugar and calories. So it's going to replenish sugar that you've burned during your training, and it's going to hit your calories really easily because it's so tiny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To eat that many calories in whole food, you got to eat a lot of whole food. So I think there's definitely a place for flexible dieting and fitting in those foods. We teach our clients how to do this. So I'm obviously a fan of it, but I just hate the idea of like it being bad to say clean or healthy foods.
Yeah.
Like, I want to live
That's
a long
ridiculous.
time. I want a strong, healthy immune system. I want good digestion. I want feel good energy. I want good mental clarity. And there's just simply research that shows processed foods don't digest as well for a lot of people. They are going to cause issues with not always, but sometimes with cognitive function and things like that, because they can slow down the way your thought processes work if you're overdoing it. And this is where it's like lurky research. So I'm not going to say like processed foods are bad, but overconsumption of processed foods can cause issues like that, especially processed sugars. There's also a lot of research that shows if you want to maximize your maintenance calories, eating less processed foods is better because processed foods are quite literally already processed. Guess what your body does when it's breaking down foods? Processing it. Yeah. So if we have whey protein, why do you think it digests so easily? You're not going to burn as much calories from 20 grams of whey protein as you would 20 grams of chicken breast, because your body has to break it down through saliva, bile, digestive process through your gut, has to absorb the nutrients. That takes work. So for us to maximize our maintenance calories as well, it's good to have more whole foods and less processed food. So there's just so many reasons to fill your diet with better whole foods. Saying that you can't eat like unclean foods or bad foods, that's stupid. Yeah. And they're not bad, but it's just that majority of your diet shouldn't be filled with those.
Totally.
Period.
Cool. All right, next one is going to be deadlifts.
Actually going to say overrated. I think that people use deadlifts like so universally across all programs. I love deadlifting because I like lifting shit off the floor and I care about strength. But if your goal isn't strength, you don't need to deadlift. Like if we're talking body composition, there's better exercises to build your glutes, hamstrings, and back. Way better. People used to always say, like, if you want a big, thick back, you got to deadlift. No, you don't. You got to get really good at pulling and rowing and heavy weights and doing pull-ups. Like deadlifting is primarily legs, but it's a total body exercise. It's mainly neurological, though. You know, there's not a ton of time under tension unless you're doing one rep max. And even then, time under tension directly isn't the biggest correlative factor of building muscle. You can't do a ton of volume because you don't want to do high reps with deadlifts because you'll injure yourself. And it's so spread out across the body that there's not any direct muscle focus. You know, a bench press is good for chest because it's directly a chest exercise. Deadlift is what?
Deadlift?
Yeah.
Legs?
Yeah, but I mean, what? Like, if you're a trap bar, you actually have some good amount of quads.
Yeah. Depending
on your femur length, if you're doing conventional, you got quads too. Yeah. But you also got hamstrings to hinge. So you got a little bit of glutes, but depending on how long your femurs are, you know what I mean? There's some back, but it's isometric.
That's what I don't understand. How's it back?
Because if you're doing it properly, your lats are engaged. Yeah, they're isometrically contracted. On a trap bar, your traps are isometrically contracted. But isometrics are not the best way to build muscle either. So it's like, it's a little bit of everything, right? Whereas even a squat, like a normal stance squat is kind of a little bit of everything, but more quad. Close stance squat is very quad dominant. So if you want to focus on quads, I think you should close stance squat. But I'd say overrated for most people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, next one is going to be bodybuilding.
Underrated. Bodybuilding as a sport, sorry to the fans, overrated. Bodybuilding as a method of training, underrated. The reason I say that is because I think a lot of people choose, this is more common with bikini competitors, but a lot of people choose to compete as a goal to push them for weight loss. And I think that's a mistake because you're choosing a goal to get a general sustainable weight loss. Like you're choosing an outcome or a target of like, really, I just want to lose some weight, right? But I'm going to choose a target that's at the max extreme to get there. That's not a good idea. You know, you're going to push yourself to a level that is potentially no coming back. You could cause eating disorder. You cause a whole bunch of problems. You don't want to do that. Now, there's some people who really love the sport, and that's what I always ask. I had a conversation with a lady the other day. She brought up competing. I was like, oh, do you like the sport of bodybuilding? She's like, oh, no. I mean, I don't really pay attention to it. I'm like, okay, then you shouldn't do it. Do a photo shoot. Do a weight loss goal. Set something else up. But getting on stage is a sport. You know what I mean? You wouldn't set a goal of joining or making a football team in order to lose weight. You know, I know that's kind of like sounds crazy to people, but in a way, you know, you wouldn't set a goal of competing in the CrossFit Games if your goal was to lose 20 pounds. It's the same thing, you know? So you should look at it like that. Now, the method of bodybuilding, I think, is underrated because a lot of people jump into training for aesthetic results, building muscle, losing weight, body composition changes, and they're jumping into CrossFit or circuit training or Orange Theory, whatever, when bodybuilding is quite literally, it's literally the training method of changing your body composition. You're building your body. So just because you're bodybuilding doesn't mean your goal is to become this huge Mr. Olympia. It means that you're working on building your physique. So I think it's very underrated as a training modality for most Gen Pop people, but I think it's overrated as a sport for most Gen Pop people. Not because I don't like the sport, but because people set the target for the wrong reason.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah. Let's go with like one or two more.
Yep. We'll go, next one would be social media.
Man.
Double-edged sword.
Huh?
Double-edged sword.
It's a very double-edged sword. I think it is definitely underrated for business, right? I think that, but then again, it depends on the business you're in. I know people who have very successful businesses that don't spend a ton of time on social media, you know? So I think social media is overrated. I think marketing is underrated.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking business. Personal life, if I didn't do what I do, I probably wouldn't have, I might have it, but I wouldn't be on it that much. You know, and I mean, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have my wife. I didn't have it, so I'm thankful I have it. But I just think that like before I got really into fitness, I really didn't do much with MySpace or Facebook or anything. Even when I was training in person, I didn't do a ton with it until I was like, I think I really want to push this online thing.
Totally.
I find it like it's not weird, so I don't want to like say I'm hating on people, but I don't personally like putting too much of my personal stuff on social media. I think it's kind of weird. Like if I have like cool wins, like I want to share it, you know, like special events of my life, of course, my daughter, things like that. If it's material celebrations, I don't like sharing it. I think it's like just weird bragging and boasting. I think I don't know. I don't respect when people do that as much, even though I look at it sometimes, especially like celebrities and stuff. I think it's cool seeing what they drive and all that stuff. But I feel like there's so many people who purposely put negativity on there to share negative things. And I think that's weird. I think that's I don't know if overrated is the right word. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I just think it's like, man, like when bad things happen in my life, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the people close to me because I want advice and I want help. But I don't know. I think it's weird. But I think marketing's underrated because I think a lot of people think Instagram's the only way to market. I know so many people that just do Facebook ads and email marketing and they're crushing it. You know what I mean? So does that mean those things are better than Instagram? No. It just means that every marketing pursuit has benefits and you just need to choose one that you're going to dominate. Yeah. We're working on some stuff on the back end and we're investing in that has really nothing to do with social media, but it's probably going to be 10 times more helpful to us than social media, I would say.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require social media. You know what I mean? So adding that to our arsenal is just insane. I think things like that are very underrated.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think about that because today's day and age is YouTubers and Instagrammers. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, and TikTokers.
All right, one more. We will go over BCAAs.
Ooh. In general, overrated. I think I would be stupid to not say that. I think they're overrated in general. There's not that many uses for them, but I personally don't like when people just blatantly say BCAAs are always a waste of money no matter what. Because I think that there's, like most things, like glutamine. Glutamine is generally a supplement that not that many people need, but there's benefits to it. BCAAs are generally a supplement that most people don't need. Most people who are buying BCAAs, you probably don't need to. Just eat your protein. But there are scenarios with, even for cognitive function or I think it's called hyperaminodosis or it's basically like overloading your bloodstream with aminos. There actually are some muscle growth benefits to that in certain settings. There's benefits to marathon runners. There's benefits to cognitive ability to be resilient through training. Like there are benefits there. It's just that it's like 1 to 5%.
Yeah.
So 95% of people don't need to worry about it. So I would say overrated in general, but there's always a purpose to everything.
For sure.
So,
all right, that's the last one today, guys. I'm just looking at the amount we have here, and we are going to have multi parts of this series.
Did we even hit half?
No, I'm not even close.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you'll get some more underrated, overrated podcasts in the near future. Like I said before, go check out the guides on our website, tailoredcoachingmethod.com/guides, if you want to see how our training works for free. And make sure you check out tailoredtrainer.net to give a 7-day free trial to the Tailored Trainer app.